My name is Brenton Bostic. My talk is titled Finding Bugs in the Wolfram Language. In this talk, I will present a new tool for finding bugs in the Wolfram language. I will demonstrate finding bugs in notebook code and also finding bugs in .m code and other editors and IDEs, and ways to automatically fix issues when they're found. All right, so welcome today. Every day, I'm Brenton Bostic. I'm with Wolfram, and today I'm going to be talking about finding bugs in the Wolfram language. I assume maybe some people have learned about parsing Wolfram language earlier. This will be a continuation in the same vein as that. Oh, good, okay. Today's outline, I'll be motivating why you would want to find bugs in the Wolfram language. May not spend much time on that. I'm going to quiz people and then show the software that I've been developing, and then the software that the team that we've created has been developing, and then show it for the front end, and then showing its application in even other editors and IDEs. So why would you want to preemptively find bugs? A good argument is that it is more expensive to find them the hard way, and just a list of infamous software failures that may hit too close to home for people, yeah. So, can you spot the problem in this code right here? There's a stray comma, yeah, okay, cool. Can you spot the problem in this code right here? There are 4 underscores, okay. Can you spot the problem in this code right here? There's an extra minus sign right there. Can you spot the problem right here? Linux isn't an actual value for dollar operating system. People, those were all real derived, I should say. I'm not actually attacking anyone's specific code. Those, the function names have been changed to protect the innocent. But those illustrate the common types of problems that people run into. The moral of the story is Wolfram syntax is complicated. That seems to be a theme with what I'm talking about today. There are a lot of operators in Wolfram language, unintuitive precedences, but something new, implicit times, is its own beast, which leads to missing commas and missing semicolons, all being completely valid syntax and hard to detect. So the answer for finding these types of problems is static analysis of being able to analyze code before actually evaluating it. How would you do that, you might ask? Well, in Wolfram language, the answer would best be use the pattern matcher. And so with parsing code, for example, if you wanted to process and find out how many integers and symbols you might have in your code, you know, it's very easy to do this kind of thing, but you didn't actually run that code at all. It's just represented symbolically without having been evaluated. However, static analysis is also difficult for Wolfram language because Wolfram language is very dynamic and it is weakly typed. You can create symbols willy-nilly, and it's hard to know if you've missed a need statement somewhere. And implicit times leads to things like this, missing semicolons, that could go decades without being detected in your code. I know I've written something like that. I don't know if any of you have, but I definitely have. And operator forms are now valid syntax, so might be a cool thing to show off in new features, but drives people implementing static analyzers crazy because this is now completely valid syntax also. So yeah, just makes it ensures job security, I suppose, is a way of looking at it. But so runtime checking is also difficult, but is not going to be discussed here. The property of returning unevaluated. I will refrain from judgment calls on that, but the issue being I'm calling missing as if it were the head of a function, you know, like, so very hard to talk about statically. You tend to only run it, you see these things at runtime, or you might not because you might just mask over that whole thing, and it's actually very hard to see. But we'll not be talking about runtime checking here. So what I will be showing is the lint packlet. And you can see here, given a string, lint string is going to be the workhorse function. And lint string report makes the results look nicer. But the things that come out are lint objects, and it's nicely formatted here. And you can see, for example, the one problem that is found in this code is that both branches of if are the same. And The assumption being that's not what you intended. If that's what you intended, then, I mean, you don't need to be using the linter then, I guess. But for people that don't want to have their brain, but people have written it that way, and so these are just merely suggestions for what you would want to be doing, but you may not want to have that in your code. And so yeah, for spanning multiple lines, you might nice formatted stuff. You can obviously lint files the same way. There's a colats file that I've just been using as an example that does have intentional errors in it. Found 3 problems. So what are they? There's actually a missing equals, between in the message, setting the message. Yeah, unexpected, because then, why would you have a multiplication at top level? But then also you have a span at the end of the line, which you probably meant to be as just a single semicolon. So scroll over, yeah. And so obviously you want to be able to jump there to your code. And so if you set things up correctly, you can get results so that you can go and jump. I don't know if people can see the cursor blinking, but it just jumped over to where the problem is. So you can just quickly change that if you wanted to. The cursor jumped back up there. So these are not pre-baked examples. So, but yeah, so you can change that if you want. A whole other reporting system is for implicit times, because yeah, we mean to use implicit times a lot more than accidentally, but it's still a problem, and so there are not reports, but it should be easy to actually annotate where they are actually occurring. And so as a way of formatting files, I think underlining them with kinds of showing where the X's are in implicit times, you may or may not have meant to do that in your file. So just showing you what they are is possible. So okay. So the output is also possible to get on the command line, like you see in compilers like Clang and GCC, to be nicely colored and showing you where they are. This might be more appropriate for some workflows that people have, so that's very nice. Right, and so the code assistance team that has been assembled recently has been spending a lot of time on this feature of making all of this nice reporting integrate better with the front end. And I'll turn some stuff on. So here's an example where there's a stray comma at the end of that input cell there. And so if you just evaluate this, well, in the presentation it's kind of funky looking, but you get a little guy saying you have an extra comma there. And if you click on the little opener, you have the option of deleting that comma, and look, it's magical, and now your code's fixed. Two sign, huh?
Right, so one of the warnings that we saw was implicit multiplication. 2 sign of X is
well, no, implicit multiplication isn't a warning in and of itself. Okay. You have to run the separate thing just to get implicit, because it's not, you intend it. You meant it 90% of the time, maybe, so yeah, it's its own thing. So, here, you have an unexpected underscore. The front end does a good job of actually spacing there, so that's actually not such a good, you still might miss that. I might miss that, but you still probably didn't mean to have that there, so let's fix that. Similarly, Linux, you probably meant to say Unix, so magically fix that. And cool. All of our code is, but it has caught so many, that specific, you mean the Linux?
Yeah, Linux.
People love thinking that it is, it serves a purpose though.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what have you plugged in then? And so that's obviously not something generic that feels sort of.
That's completely ad hoc.
Right.
Yeah,
So for that variable, you've recorded the available things.
Well, yeah, it's just, you write the pattern. If you're inside of a switch and you see, the first thing is $operating system, and then you see if any of them are Linux, that's the pattern, and you go from there. And so, it's very ad hoc, but useful.
$operating system and some documentation strings, and we don't parse them and figure.
Sorry.
We don't take a look at $operating system, or dollar operating systems or something else like that, or see, scan the documentation to find out what are valid values or do these kinds of
No, there's only the three.
Right.
No, no.
There are more than 3.
Or 4, I should say iOS. Is
There's iOS.
not to denigrate iOS, I meant 4, yes. Yeah, and yeah. Well, I mean, okay, maybe denigrate Android, yeah. Maybe 5, yeah, Larry.
What if in the future we do add Linux to a possible value?
Well, if you meant that as a difference between Linux and Unix, I mean, these are now bugs. I don't know.
But what if in the future, operating systems?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's like, it's just, I will change. I mean, it's very,
No, I'm just wondering, how do you come up with these values that are valid values? Is it programmed? Is there some kind of query that you do to get that list?
well, it's only the 3. I don't know. It's a hard.
Are they hard-coded?
Are they hard?
Yeah, dollar operating system is 4 or 5 hard-coded values. Yes.
Check dollar operating systems at the time that you're linting.
No, it's all, no. But if we ever update, I will have plenty of lead time to fix the linter, yes. Yeah. No. I mean, it's a trade-off, and I'm willing to take that work upon myself to update it were dollar operating system to ever change. So, some more interesting stuff from another developer, Timothy. So, we might have, give it a second, mismatched brackets in your code that at first glance you might not know how to fix. And so we've spent a lot of time training machine learning systems to be able to respond with a certain confidence whether or not you should add or delete brackets in various locations in the code. And so with 99% confidence, we're supposed to have a bracket, after the with square bracket. So I would be confident with making that change, I think would be the correct thing to do. And then, so similarly here, you can see with 98% confidence, you probably want to insert a bracket there, for example. And then some smaller examples to show with 99% confidence, you probably want to delete that parenthesis. I mean, obviously, it's already colored in the front end, but on principle, you probably want to delete that parenthesis. And then similarly, with 65% confidence, not as confident, you want to add the association ending bracket there. So I think this is an interesting application because it shows the 2 different complementary methods that we're using, where you might say that this is the stuff I was showing before is more rule-based, and this is obviously machine learning-based, but they can complement each other, and they are not fighting, because my linting stuff with parsing, it would know that you have a missing bracket because it wouldn't, it would have parsing errors, but it's not going to make any attempt at fixing them, figuring out where they are. And so machine learning can come in and fill that gap and just make a better user experience all around. So I think that's just nothing but a complete win for people developing code. Right, so that's the front end. I also want to show some really cool stuff for other editors and IDEs. What we've been spending a lot of time on is, I don't know if people are familiar or not with the language server protocol, but it's a standard that's been put out by Microsoft that, so this is a good little graphic. You might have this problem where you have a bunch of languages and you have a bunch of clients, like editors, that you want to teach about these languages, and you kind of have this full complete graph problem that that's a lot. All of those arrows represent lots of work. And so with language server protocol, you have a standard way for the 2 servers and clients to talk to each other, so that you just do the linear thing, and you don't have to be completely reinventing the wheel each time. And so I've also created a language server protocol packlet to be able to treat the Wolfram language as a language server, so that Oh, did I? Oh yeah, supposed to actually like show it now. So in Sublime, I may have already, gotten ahead of myself. When I jumped here before, you might have seen the syntax coloring. Hovering right there, it might catch it. I can't see if it catches it or not. I'm going to go over here where the span is. Span is at the end of the line, and it shows you that the same problem I was showing before, basically. And so I have this like other little demo.m file with the similar things to show both branches are the same, and so other things too, where you may have simply just forgotten to write q. That's probably supposed to be integer q. We all miss a character here and there. I mean, it happens. So let's just make it easy to fix. So we should do that. Extra commas. Well, I think I need to save in between each thing. Yeah. And so we can just go through and just fix these problems that should be easy to find. There, now it's good. I mean, it's not. None of this code's doing anything, but. So this is an interesting example because you probably did not mean to write that, or maybe you did. It's actually hard to tell because the precedence of question is higher than you might think it is. And so the way I'm selecting is actually how the things bind first. And so if that's what you meant, great. You have that option. Let's just make it unambiguous and let's just wrap parentheses around it and just be completely safe about the whole thing. However, when it's function, you super probably didn't mean that applied to x, and so that's treated a little bit more severely as an error, and you just have the one option of wrapping around there. So, so Sublime Text is a really popular editor. You get sorry. I'm sorry.
The collapse window again.
Oh yeah.
So why is the collapse usage message underlined?
Well, so the whole thing is an implicit multiplication that's at top level, and it's just saying,
I see.
like,
So
why do you have why are you doing times like at top level? Yeah, that's all. If it was buried somewhere, implicit times completely fine. Tons of things. Yeah. That's all. And I don't know what the fix is because did you mean this or did you can't say insert star because you're missing an equal sign. So not everything's going to have a suggestion, but a lot of things are. So I'm going to undo all of that and then go to Visual Studio Code and show the exact same thing. Yeah.
One thing, I've seen recently a code where span was purposely at the end of the line for readability of two.
It's not wrong, but I mean, you super probably meant to have it just be a single semicolon.
I'm then asking, how do you disable? You put parentheses around there.
Yeah, no, like if it's literally the last thing on the line, yeah. So yeah. So, but don't do that either. Like,
If it's confusing to Brenton's code, it's confusing to another programmer reading the code. That's why it's bad. I mean, it was confusing to me. No, I'm not saying like you said that.
well, yeah. So when you say for readability reasons, do you mean to make it more readable or to make it less readable? Like, yeah, just like readability. And so not everyone uses Sublime. Well, let's jump over to Visual Studio Code. Hey, look, all of the exact same functionality is here. We can make the same changes that we made before. It's really up to you which client you want to use. Eclipse, Atom, all of these can be coming down the pipe. Sublime and Visual Studio Code were just the easiest ones for me to do. But any client, any editor that supports Language Server Protocol as using it that becomes a client of LSP can now just know about Wolfram language semantically instead of just you might have just had the syntax coloring, syntax highlighting before, which is it's not useless, but it's not. I mean, it just stops there. It doesn't go very much further than that. So let's bring some semantics in and let you use the editor that you want to use as a developer to do the work you want to do. So I'm going to make one last change, because that's the other thing. You probably didn't mean the underscore. You probably meant to say true there. So yeah, just all of these other examples. So yeah, so that's Sublime in Visual Studio Code.
Now, you mentioned Eclipse, so would this replace the plugin, or is this somehow complementary?
Well, it's not going to replace, the Workbench plugin does so much more right now. You know, like there's actual debugging and there's actual running the tests, and it's, you know, very specific. I mean, it would be like, this isn't a panacea by like any means, but I mean, this is doing stuff.
If you use Eclipse primarily for the coloring, then this could free you from Eclipse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that's the only, yeah. I mean, yeah, definitely. You could also bring in an LSP plugin into Eclipse with the Workbench and just combine the two. Like, it's complementary, because this is doing stuff that the Workbench isn't catching, and so just let's you know, throw everything that all the analyzers you have at the same editor, the same file that you have open, because, you know, why not? So future ideas, if you have any lint patterns that I can throw in there, let me know. I'm going to be adding more semantics to the checker, because right now it's basically working at the expression level, and, you know, we have like functions and packages and like bigger units of code that we need to work with. In the front end, actually, I should magnify. I don't know if people can see. But you can see, so in the future, that's hilarious. Squiggly lines, like actually coloring the errors that you have, like in your input cell. And then, you know, like I was just saying, more LSP clients. And then also, it's interesting, from Microsoft, from the same people as LSP, there's a debug adapter protocol for editors and IDEs that have debugging capabilities, for you to be able to have a system of communication for, you know, setting breakpoints and stepping through code and things. So if you wanted to like use stay in Visual Studio Code for being able to still debug things, Wolfram language code, you should be able to. So that's not in this demonstration right now, but will be coming down the pipe. So I think this is exciting right now, and I hope you all have a lot of suggestions, and I hope to be able to help with all of your code in the future with all of this. So thank you.